Hello, folks, and welcome to the first ever episode of Outer Rim Ramblin, brought to you by the Banterflix Network. Now, this is a podcast all about the war and the stars,
And not about
and
eating ass.
not about it's a change of pace for
Yeah.
Banterflix. But that's the lovely voice of my co-pilot, the ever gorgeous Jedi Master Danny Brown. Danny, how are you?
I felt I had to do it because you said co-pilot, and then I started thinking of Chewbacca. I'm wearing a Chewbacca hoodie right now. It just felt like the most appropriate way to say how I'm doing. It was clearly Shriwook for I'm well. I'm doing good.
It's weird because we previously recorded another episode before this, and I was nine and it
Nice.
was just racist stereotypes, so we had to restart.
Of course. And but you know what? Let's keep in the funny wee laugh, the wee nim num laugh.
No, I was gonna do a wee transition there, but we'll stay on target. Eh?
Yeah.
Eh?
Yeah, of course.
I was gonna say that his mouth looks like a fanny. Well, I had to slip in.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. It's fine. Keep that in. That's just facts. That's factually accurate.
But this is the little spin-off podcast from me and Danny, because whenever we get together, we enjoy talking about Star Wars. We thought, why not? Because the internet doesn't have enough of it. Why not get the opinion of two white men talking
Yeah.
about Star Wars? It's a thing that's never been done in the whole 50 years.
It's a completely original idea, much
Yeah,
like Star Wars is.
yeah,
Very, very original.
definitely. And
Yeah.
well, let's start there, Danny. How
Uh-huh.
were you introduced to Star Wars, and where did your love begin?
I came out of my ma loving Star Wars, and that's
Mm.
that. No, I think I can't remember exactly what age I was. It does feel like I did come out loving Star Wars, but no, I had an uncle who was really into movies in general, but he was particularly into Star Wars, and he had, the VHSs, and then he had to get the DVDs straight away, and he had what I actually have it here in the office, and it's the tinned Executor edition of the VHSs. So he had those and he had models of like all the different starships and stuff. And he introduced me to Star Wars then. And then obviously being a 93 child, I was old enough that when Phantom Menace came out, I was the target audience. So I fucking loved Phantom Menace. And despite, my uncle not really enjoying it as much, I remember him saying to me whenever you see Ian McDiarmid, this is one of my earliest kind of Star Wars memories, is him going, he's the Emperor when Ian McDermott came on the screen, and I was like, oh, and that blew my tiny mind and just kind of propelled me more into this like Star Wars love and wanting to know how the story was going to play out because it was like, well, how does he become the Emperor and how does Anakin become Vader, So I stuck with it then, and yeah, I grew up on the prequel trilogy and I grew up on like all the good LucasArts games, and yeah, I kind of it was from being introduced to it by an uncle and by other family members. I remember my brother being gifted Kenner Star Wars toys by one of his uncles, and I remember I still keep my mum going about this now, but my brother had the Millennium Falcon, had a Kenner Millennium Falcon, and he filled, the way you could take the roof off and see the inside of the Falcon. He had filled it with soil from outside, and my ma just binned it. She was like, "It's dirty now. There's no recovering this," and binned it. And now I'll every so often just be like, "Remember that time you binned an original Kenner Millennium Falcon? Look at the price of them now." And she's just like, "Fuck up. It's just toys." What are you on about? But yeah, stuff like that. It's all again. It was I kind of grew up with a lot of it around me, and I definitely it was my special subject. I definitely cock blocked my mum one time growing up. So again, this is another story. Mom, sorry if you're listening, but one time, my mum, I'm a child of divorce, and my mum had brought a date home, and I was still like awake or whatever, and they were in the living room and I just came in. It wasn't long after Attack of the Clones had come out, and I started explaining to him the Republic Army the Separatist Army and clones and droids and the differences there and the different types of clones there were. And yeah, I think he was just like, what? Like, what have I come back to here? This tiny person is talking to me about separatists and Republicans, and I'm sure he probably didn't his idea of Republicans was probably very different from Star Wars ones. But yeah, so that's kind of my like Star Wars past and where I kind of came from with it. And yeah, that love has never diminished or waned in any sort of way. I am very much a Star Wars ride or die kind of guy. What about you, Adam? Tell us yours. Do you have any plucking plucking Star Wars stories?
Have I ever took a shite in the Millennium Falcon? It's funny you say. I didn't realize we're both 93 boys. So
Hmm.
we're very much were in the right sphere, especially when it comes to Phantom Menace merchandise. I'm sure we
Hmm.
both get that same joy when you see that red and black packaging
Oh,
and anything.
fuck yeah.
I sort of learned about Star Wars through the video games, because I had a Nintendo 64 and had Rogue Squadron.
This is a straight hit and run mission. Good luck.
There's an Imperial storage base nearby.
Nice work, Rogue Squadron.
Nice.
And the mission of Hoth, like where you had to like go around the AT-AT. I was like, this is
Mhm.
the most amazing game of all time.
It's also difficult as shit.
Oh, it's impossible. And then the arcade, the Star Wars arcade game, I would play on my holidays. That and the Pod Racer with
Oh
the handles.
man, the Pod Racer. There's still one of the arcades up in Port Rush still has the Pod Racer arcade game with the proper like seat and handles. And
Mm,
every time I'm in Port Rush, I'm like, I have to have a go.
yeah, and it's terrible controls,
Hmm.
but
Oh,
it's so fun. And then Phantom Menace coming out. I didn't really with the original trilogy. I can't remember if it was before or after seeing Phantom Menace. It must have been before, because you, like you say, you kind of grow up being like, Darth Vader is Luke's dad. But I
mhm.
think it took a while for me to realize that Anakin was Vader, and then it also took a few years for me to realize that Palpatine was the Emperor. I
Yeah.
think it wasn't
You didn't have an
until
uncle to lean over and be like, here,
it's like, see your boy, and I was like, Sheev Palpatine.
Mr. Sheev.
Also, just being a stupid child, I was like Republicans and separatists, and like, because the clone army are like stormtroopers, so I assumed they're the bad guys, but they're the good guys, and it was all a bit confusing to me. But I also didn't care because I was like, oh, lightsabers class.
Hmm.
And I think we've both talked off air before. We both had the Obi-Wan dress up set where
Oh, yeah.
you had the fake braid.
Hmm.
And like lightsabers as a kid and as an adult is one of the coolest toys you could get
Hmm.
growing up. And we played Star Wars on the playground. Oh, I touched your legs. I chopped your leg off. I touched your arm. You touched your, you know. So it was one of those things. Getting older, I sort of lean more towards the outlaw, sort of outer rim, bounty hunting, pirating sort of stuff rather
Hmm.
than Jedi stuff.
Yeah.
But I still get my jollies from the lightsaber bows.
Oh,
But
always,
um,
always.
so if you're listening to the pod and you hear me gabbing off about how much I love the movie Solo, just know that that's more my Skeleton Crew, Andor, Solo. That's more my bag than your sort of Ahsoka acolyte sort of
Yeah.
side of everything.
I get that, but as you say, when someone hands you a lightsaber, and I think that's why I love for anyone that doesn't know outside of my like professional life, I would do like cosplay group stuff, and my main sort of character that I am is a Jedi Knight,
Mhm.
and the joy of swinging a lightsaber around for people to take pictures of you, and then being like, "Do you want to hold the lightsaber?" And like, there's never been a time where like someone's dad hasn't like near pushed the Wayne out the way just to get holding the lightsaber and get a play with it and get a picture with it. It brings so much joy to anyone I've come across to
Yeah.
get a go with a lightsaber, like, and I think it just does stem from that like childhood run around the playground playing with them. Tell me this, did you have, so 2005 finished this just come out, Kellogg's are doing the little lightsaber mazes in the cereals.
What do you bring from the Clone Wars, 21?
New weapons to fight the dark side. These lightsabers, each with a challenge to test a Jedi's skills.
To celebrate the release of Star Wars Episode 3, Kellogg's are giving away glow-in-the-dark lightsabers.
You have done well, my apprentice.
Oh, thanks.
Free with Frosties, Cocoa Pops, Rice Krispies, and Corn Flakes.
Did you run around the playground with those and try and collect every single one?
Now, Danny, let me just say something here. You're a ride or die Star Wars man, and I am myself now. But 2005, young Mr. Neeson was getting into his wee filmmaking era, and on the internet at that time, it was the early days, but that was the days of Star Wars is shite. So, come episode 3, I was in the whole Star Wars fucking it's losers.
Oh no!
So
I never went through that. I never went through the Star Wars shite or Star Wars isn't cool phase. I did go through the I'm going to stop buying the toys, and I gave my cousin all my Star Wars Legos. And yeah, I did have that phase where I was like, I'm grown up now, and I don't need toys anymore. I've completely regressed now. But I never had that phase where I was like, Star Wars isn't cool. Again, Star Wars ride or die. I can acknowledge the shite stuff in it. I can, but I will always and forever hold up the good stuff because that's what being a Star Wars fan is all about. And that's why we're here. This is why we're doing this.
100%. And I feel like a lot of my hatred sort of stemmed from like red letter media. I think that hindered a lot of people and making fun of Star Wars at that point, be like, look how ridiculous it is. But it's only like sort of grown up a bit more and looking back on it. I know people have like the nostalgia goggles, but it's like you can kind of see what George was going for. I know it's a cop out, but like extended lore and what has grown from those movies has sort of redeemed it a lot. But Star Wars as a product, I know it's terrible to say, but like as a story, has never felt old. Like when we were growing up, it was never like, those are those old movies from the 70s. It's just Star Wars. It's just there. And I think that's always sort of stayed. I don't think there's a kid these days that wouldn't watch Star Wars because it's old. They probably wouldn't watch the original trilogy first off. They would maybe watch some of the newer shows or even the prequels, even those being 25 years old. But like it is something that is a widespread you can have from your Jedi kids show, can't remember what it's called, to your Andors, which Nanny just had its second trailer drop.
Oh, it sure did. It sure did.
Let's play a wee clip of that now for the people out in the old Outer Rim.
We're in a war. You want to fight? Or you want to win? Last night I had a dream that the world had turned around. All our hopes had come to be. The revolution starts now.
What a swell party this is.
So that was a clip of Andor Season 2. Very exciting stuff. The Star Wars Twitter community have been up in arms because they haven't had an Andor trailer. It's out in 2 months and there hasn't been a trailer. Disney's really fumbling the ball. And then they just drop a trailer and be like, yeah, suck those balls. Because we are coming out saying this is prestige television, and rightfully so. The first season got a lot of acclaim, great performances, great writing. The amount of speeches that you see from Andor, whether it be from Aaron Skarsgård or the whole quote unquote "fuck the Empire" speech, is I see at least weekly on Twitter or Facebook or something. It really did hit a nerve with not just Star Wars fans, but just people that enjoy good television. But what's your thoughts on the old Andor 2 trailer? Who are you excited to see? Which robot-y boys are you looking forward to seeing?
Specifically robot boys, K2SO.
Yes.
I love that. One of my favorite things about Rogue One is K2SO. The fact that I'm assuming that it's K2SO in the trailer, but Yeah, K2SO specifically is a character that I'm really excited to see because we didn't get him in season 1 of Andor. Again, there's a few moments where you're kind of like, and then it's like, oh no, 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 no. Yeah, I'm excited to see Saw Gerrera save the rebellion, save the dream. I just absolutely I love Forrest Whitaker in general as an actor, and again, his turn in Rogue One is great too. I think it's great that we are kind of getting this that we're getting closer and closer to Rogue One, and it's clear to see from the trailer. I'm excited to see what looks to be possible. Like it feels like it's going to be more spy espionage. There's a lot of more sneaking into Imperial compounds and Imperial testing facilities by the looks of things. If the trailer and one of the Cassian Andor figures shows him as a test pilot, so I think that's really exciting. There was that moment where in the trailer there is like a group of what looks to be troopers without helmets on coming down a hallway, but they're all kind of bandaged up. And there was that kind of brief moment where I was like, is this going to be night troopers from Ahsoka? And I was like, no, that in terms of the continuity, that wouldn't make sense. But they look to be made of like ragtag parts of like patrol troopers and shore troopers. So I'm wondering, is it some like a ragtag group of rebels who have gotten Imperial surplus armor and are wearing that? Which again, I'm kind of like, ooh, okay, so that's probably linked to Saw Gerrera's gang. Yeah, there's so much, and then of course I'm excited for Ben Mendelsohn to come back because we're gonna see more depth to his character. He's a character in Rogue One that I thought was just like fantastic, but kind of just was there to play the villain, and now we're gonna kind of get to see him play out a bit more, which is very exciting.
Also, he'll be asking Mon Mothma if you've been talking to the Death Star, mate. Yeah, you wouldn't help me build an empire, will you, mate?
I hope he does go into his Australian accent now.
It'd be fantastic.
Guy from the Death Star.
In terms of the trailer itself, people have been complaining that like, oh, it uses like modern day music, but I think with Andor sort of being a different beast, and you will get the classic trailer probably in about a month's time that has like the Star Wars music, but I think this trailer is for a general audience, and
Mhm.
it's hitting you with all of the big bam action scenes, and you see Mon Mothma dancing, and I assume
Mhm.
is her daughter's wedding. You see a lot of exciting stuff like that. Whereas the people that watch Andor sort of know that the quieter moments are the better moments. So those are the things I look forward to. The characters from the first season that aren't in Rogue One or any of the other movies, your Bix and stuff. People are assuming like they'll die, but
There's no
there's no reason.
reason for them to
No,
die.
no, there's no
Yeah.
reason, and it doesn't add anything to Rogue One. It's not as if Andor, at the start of Rogue One, lost. I've lost everybody. So it's like
Yeah.
he's just a desperate man in a desperate situation, and it is Star Wars, so cameos sort of can be a bit of an icky word,
Mhm.
but would be nice to see Mads back
Yep.
as Galen. Would be nice to see maybe even Tarkin or Vader. Fuck it.
Yeah. Would you
Um,
accept CGI Tarkin? Would you mind a wee CGI Tarkin like in Rogue One? Or I think the fella they got to play the Tarkin body double
mhm.
was a good fit. I don't
Yeah,
know that they need to CGI him really.
it is the thing where it's like the guy they got to play Luke in Mando was a great fit, and then they just decided to staple a picture Mark Hamill over his face. I think for continuity reasons, a CGI, if they have it over a screen or a hologram
Mhm.
rather than him just face to face, that could work better. But Andor, the show that told Star Wars that recasting is fine. Like you can have your Mon Mothma, you can have ISB agents that are in A
Mhm.
New Hope in that room, and nobody seems to care because they're such small characters. Tarkin, to us he's cool, but for
Yep.
general audiences, he is a bit of a smaller character too. So if you want to just make him just a normal guy, also there's so many people you can pull in from books. There's who am I thinking of from Star Wars Battlefront 2?
Oh,
I
Aiden Versio?
Yes, her father, who's an admiral. He is an actor that is working and looks like his character. Fuck it, bring
Yeah.
him in, you
Why
know?
not? Yep.
But that's Andor. Very excited. We can't really talk too much because it was just a teaser, and
Yeah.
we'll be back next month. Maybe not in the next episode, but in the episode after that, talking about Andor full on blown. But something that's also got us excited for April, Danny, is the 20th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith.
Did you ever hear the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
No.
He had such a knowledge of the dark side, he could even keep the ones he cared about from dying.
Is it possible to learn this power?
Not from a Jedi.
It's very dangerous putting them together.
Is he not the chosen one?
It was a dream. Like the ones I used to have about my mother.
Careful you must be when sensing the future, Anakin.
You die in childbirth.
The fear of loss is a path to the dark side.
They see your future. They know your power will be too strong to control.
I am going to end this once and for all.
Do what must be done. Do not hesitate. Show no mercy.
The boy you trained, gone he is.
He is like my brother. I cannot do it.
Destroy the Sith. We must.
You were my brother, Anakin. I loved you.
A movie that I poo-pooed when it came out. Now back on the big screen on April 4DX. There's been no confirmation of any IMAX screenings, but that would be delightful.
I'd be booking tickets the minute they announce an IMAX screening. Absolutely.
But to see this on the big screen, I've seen so many people on Twitter being like, I never got to see this on the big screen, because there's so many people that love the prequels now that weren't even born, and there's no appreciation for the prequels. So to see Revenge of the Sith back, I know a lot of people love the final battle between Anakin and Obi-Wan.
So good.
But to see the opening battle above Coruscant.
Imagine that 40X.
Oh, so good.
Just imagine it, like.
So
good.
Play the extended version. Go on.
Just give us, so I'm thinking for this, I'm going to watch Genndy Tartarovsky's Clone Wars miniseries, because it does nicely leave off where episode 3 picks up. Yeah, I'm so excited for it. Like, I was excited whenever Phantom Menace got its re-release there in the cinema for its anniversary, but this one I'm even more excited about, because I can remember going to see it in cinema on opening day. I remember, like, me and my cousin and my brother were all like pretty excited about it. So my gran was like, right, I'll come and get yous from school and we'll go straight over to the cinema to see it. So I was like, sweet, perfect. And we like, assuming it was going to be busy because it was a Star Wars film, we went to the afternoon showing that day. And for opening day, would have been about sort of 4 o'clock, maybe 5. There was like 2-3 other dudes in the screen with me, my brother, my cousin, and my granny just watching it. I just remember being like the whole way through it. It was so good. I had a friend who went to the evening screening then, and it was sold out. It was packed out. But it's weird to think now, like, would there'd be midnight release now probably, which would be packed out. But like opening day to not have a packed out screen just seems mad to me now when I think about it. But I hope I get that same feeling of like going into the cinema that I had back in 2005 when my granny took me, you know. I'm just going to drag her along for the ride this time. Be like, right, come on, Gran, 20 years on. She'll be like, please, leave me at home.
I've seen this before, you haven't?
Yeah. Shut up.
Even though I was like a big Star Wars, like, I don't like it. Star Wars to me always came out around my birthday, because my birthday's the end of May. And I remember it was so petty, but God bless my dad, who I sat on my bed with gaming magazines, right? Say like 4 magazines, and they all had like features or advertisements for the Revenge of the Sith game for the PS2.
All the lightsaber skills and all the Force powers can't save you from the one thing you can never escape: your destiny. Star Wars Episode 3, the video game. Before you see the movie, live it.
And I sat with them open on my bed, just quietly looking at them for like an hour. He's like, "You coming downstairs?" We're like, "No, no, I don't feel well. Just looking at these." And he's like, "What are you looking at?" I'm like, new game came out today." So it did. This is like because it came out like a week before the film. I think new game came out today. My dad ran. Okay, you left. You got in the car. The car came back. He came up the stairs and he went into Smith's and got me the PS2 game. He's like, "Don't tell your ma, but there's your birthday present." I was like, "Yes." So as much as I am excited for the movie coming back, maybe, Tony, maybe if we're lucky, they'll do a wee announcement of a 20th anniversary of a wee remaster of the game.
I imagine Limited Run would be all over a wee remaster of the Revenge of the Sith game, like because they've been on a roll with all Bounty Hunter, Jedi Master Power battles out now. I think it's
Yes.
released now. The Republic Commando remaster. Like there's been so many wee remasters come out. A Revenge of the Sith remaster. I'd be getting bought. Like
why not? Like sometimes these remasters can be complicated because of music rights and etc. etc. But Star Wars has its own music rights. It's
Star
fine.
Wars, exactly. You know what? I love the 2-player like Mortal Kombat
Yeah.
game. Pretty much, it was just Mortal Kombat with Star Wars characters just battled the bit out with each other. Yeah, love that. And the Utapau, it was specifically the Utapau level where you played on like the platform that Grievous and Obi-Wan fought on. Yeah, that's the one that really sort of sticks in my mind.
So if we can push that into the stratosphere and
Come
hopefully
on, Limited Run Games.
you can do it.
This episode's brought to you by Limited Run Games. We wish.
Last week we snippet, not really Star Wars news, but sort of just something somebody said offhand, which would be nice. Oz Perkins, director of The Monkey and the Legs That Are Long. We talk about him often on the Fright Club, and we plug for our other venture. But he said today that he'd love to make a movie all about a Star Wars movie all about Darth Vader's sort of nightmares and dreams, like wee short stories about what his nightmares would be. Now, it's funny he said that because the comic book run that is by Jason Aaron and Kieran Gillen is basically that. It's basically a lot of Vader remembering things wrong or thinking about how he could have done right and punished himself. And although in that comic book, a lot of people make fun of it, being like, well, how many times can Vader be like, "Oh, I accidentally killed Padme"? I think if Oz Perkins was if he wanted to do a Vader show movie where he delves into Vader's psychology, that would be scrumdiddlyumptious.
That'd be unreal. Imagine a horror horror Star Wars. There's been books and comics and everything else that kind of delves into that kind of Star Wars horror territory. But imagine like a show dedicated. I would love just even like a Star Wars Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah.
We've got Tales of the Bounty Hunters, Tales from Jabba's Palace. We've got all those, which some of them actually have kind of little horror elements in too. But yeah, I would eat up some Star Wars horror. Like,
It is funny that Disney Plus has like their Tales of the Jedi, Tales of the Sith or whatever, but like they should delve into other like Visions sort of delves into other
yeah. Well, there was season 2 of Visions had the episode produced by, I can't remember their name off my head, but the Irish animation studio that basically did like a Banshee legend but set within the Star Wars universe, which again, Star Wars and horror, it can work. That episode in particular is fantastic. So yeah, I don't see why not. Come on, Disney, get the finger out.
Yeah, give Oz what he wants. Give him what he wants. Famously said by Batista. Donnie, for this first episode, people must have been hearing on the grapevine it was coming, and especially a certain intergalactic travel company got in touch with us and said, like, they've had some scrapes over the years, but they really want to get back into advertising, their destinations of where their company can accommodate for. Great travel agency known as Star Tours.
Yes,
I'm
of
sure
course.
some of our listeners might have used them before. Just great prices, all-inclusive stays, nothing.
Plenty of leg room.
Plenty of leg room, and they never transport rebel spies. But luckily, we have a little sponsorship from them, and they just want to advertise weekly, just different locations around the universe where our listeners might want to travel to. Now, the person they have advertising it is a local droid, but we thought that's a good synergy is what they call it in the business. Synergy. That really works for us, and that works for them. So take it away, JP30, with what might be the ultimate vacation break.
Hello, this is J3PO here from Star Tours to tell you about their latest offer. You can get all the way to the Outer Rim to visit the fantastic Tatooine for simply 69 credits per person per night. You can go to Mos Eisley, go to the cantina and have a wee drink. But if that seems a bit rough, head on over to Mos Espa for a bit of that Alpod racing. It's well good, hey. And then, before you go, be sure to check out them Dune Seas. But watch out for the Tuscans. They'll get you. Alright, that's all from me. Be sure to head on over to starters.com.
Thanks, JP. He seems like a lovely droid.
He does. He's far more animated than I would assumed a droid would be.
Yeah, I suppose working in the tourism industry, you sort of have to give the big sell.
Yep.
Now, speaking of intergalactic holidays, Annie, I've recently returned from a planetary trip.
You have indeed.
At the start of the year, happened to take a wee trip to Batuu.
You went all the way to. Did you use starters?
I did. That's how I got the discount.
Did you see wee JP30?
He was there when I got on the old transporter, and I says, JP, thank you for all your insight. The all inclusive. It's a great deal. And he said, I can't really do the impression, but he said, go on, sure. Have yourself a great time, and don't forget to get some tip. Yep. And he was right. He was right. But I went to Batuu just to say, just out of curiosity to anybody listening. Batuu is a theme park in Orlando. That is
just back to reality for a second.
That is in the magical kingdom of Disney, in the Hollywood Studios area, where it's called Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, and they have one on the West Coast, of course, in Disneyland, which some people say is a bit better, because it has more walkabout characters. You have your Boba, you have your Ahsoka, you have some droids. But, Danny, you yourself are taking a trip to Batuu with your lovely, gonna be ex-fiance, future wife.
Why did you take the lead in with ex-fiance?
Because once you
my
get married,
current fiance, future wife.
No, when you get married, she'll be your ex.
Yes, by the time we get, she'll be my ex-fiance, future wife. Yeah, we're planning to go. We would like to, for our honeymoon, we would like to go to Orlando and visit the theme parks. But more specifically, I'm going for I need to go on a holy pilgrimage to Batuu. I imagine it was for yourself a very religious experience. I know we've spoken off screen about those moments, but perhaps you could tell our fine listeners about your religious experience at Batuu.
Yeah, so going there, sort of, it's weird when you go in, because to the left, you unfortunately won't be able to see this, but before you walk into the left is the Muppet Theater. So automatically, I was
I'm raging.
Muppet Theater.
You're in my heart, so until then, wanna smile, wanna cry, saying goodbye.
And I did take photos with the building, like as if it was a dead child that I was never going to see again.
Just to look back on fondly
Yeah.
and be like, oh.
Do you remember I touched brick? But you go into a wee cave and you come, everything's hidden. It's great. So you truly feel like you're going into a land apart from all the sweaty Americans. And you come around the corner and you just see an X-Wing and you're like, Jesus Christ. Like a proper full-size X-Wing with all the beeps and the boops.
The bleeps. The sweeps. And the creeps.
And, just everything is on point. Looks like a rebel base, like a hidden rebel base. Keep walking a bit further, get to like the market area, and you're like, this is insane. This looks like something that you would see in Tatooine. And it has it's funny because it is a market, but it also just sells Star Wars specific items. Although it is a nice touch that nothing in there has the Star Wars logo on it. So it feels like it's genuine stuff you would buy in that world. And then you come around the corner, and that's when the tears start, Danny, because you see the life-size Millennium Falcon.
I lose my shit.
For a man who's 31, going on 32, I shouldn't have been stood there crying, but I was. Because
I would expect nothing less.
No, it's such a beautiful sight. And it is, like you say, a cathartic sort of thing where, like, growing up with it, seeing it, thinking about walking the halls of the Falcon, to actually get on something that is basically a simulator of that, and it is full size and it's played straight. Everybody there, like, that works there is in character. And I think that really is what sold the world for me a bit. Whenever I went for the second time, I sort of created my own cosplay character. I was taken from like a bit of Han Solo, a bit of Indiana Jones sort of explorer, and I was able to role play for a day, which, thank God to Heidi, my fiance, that she wasn't just like, that's stupid.
She was like, you fucking virgin.
Just taking the ring off. She was all for it, but also like when people were asking her questions, she was like, it's his thing. Please don't ask me.
Yeah, I feel like that'll be Anna and I. Like, I'm gonna be full on run around being like a wee Jedi, and she's just gonna be like, oh, look at the wee critter go. Did you do I've seen on, again, I go down like rabbit holes of TikToks and YouTubes of people doing the different stuff in Batu. Did you do the Bounty Hunter app game?
I didn't do the full thing. What we did was in the queue for Rise of the Resistance, we played the game there that supports the story that's in the ride. So it's all about Finn breaking into a Star Destroyer, and then on the ride you see him. So that's pretty cool. The bounty hunter stuff, it does look fun. Whenever we went, it was sort of busy. I think if you wanted like a quiet period and were able to just like sort of run about and do it, it'd be a lot of fun. I don't know if like in the dead of the summer you could be really bothered, because it is a lot of hidden QR codes where people would normally sit to escape the sun. So you don't really want to be like, excuse me, need a wee QR code. I'm a bounty hunter, you see.
I'm sure they'd understand. You're in Star Wars land.
No, well, it's when you're trying to tell a family of 15 French women to...
I feel like that's a very specific thing to say. Did you try and tell a family of 15 French women to move?
Sacre bleu. No, but like I said, being in the world and being informed, going there, like I read everything about Batu, all of the novels about Batu. Like I said to you off air, Vi, who's from the novels exclusively, she's a character made just for that land. Being able to interact with her and talk to her about her own backstory, you could tell she appreciated it. Because obviously people go there and they see Rey, Chewbacca, Kylo Ren, and they know them from the movies. And Fi was sort of like walking through crowds and nobody was really stopping her.
Yeah.
But I was able to stop her and have like a in-character conversation with her that made the interaction way better. You don't have to do homework to go to a theme park. It just helps,
Yeah. As the experience.
Yeah. And then meeting Chewbacca, because I was in outfit and sort of looked like Han Solo, meeting Chewbacca, waiting in the queue, and for him to spot me and push people out of the way to give me a hug, then bring me over to the Falcon and talk about us flying it, and then getting our photos taken, and then give me a hug. Like, it's just top three. I know we're on a Star Wars podcast, but it's like top three moments in your lifetime where you're like truly happy,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And it's, I hope you get to see him joy when you go there. I'm sure you definitely will. There'll be stuff because you love your Jedi stuff. I didn't do the lightsaber building, which I feel like when you do, you will just blow your beans.
I will absolutely blow my beans all over the place. Like I said at the start of the podcast, holding the lightsaber is one of my great joys, and getting to share that lightsaber joy with people brings me so much joy. And even watching people do the whole like lighting of the lightsaber ceremony and stuff, like watching that
Mm.
fills me with so much excitement that I'm gonna have to do it. Like I
Yeah.
don't care the cost; it's getting done.
Yeah, that's one of the things though too. When you buy something, they say it's in credits, which you're like, "Yee."
Oh, I'm gonna be so giddy. I haven't even been. I had a friend that I worked with before had went, and he brought me back one of the thermal detonator Coca-Cola bottles, and I was just like, oh, I have a piece of Batu. And then somebody else I worked with was like, he's just giving you his rubbish. I'm like, fuck up. Like it's part of the thing, you know. It's just
Yeah,
part and parcel of it.
yeah. It's like when you go and have dinner and have like a fork, you're like, it's a Star Wars fork. It's like
Hmm.
it's not really. It's just,
Yeah,
but
it's still good fun. It's all
yeah,
fun.
it is like the most like immersive stuff. Like 'cause Disneyland or Disney World even can be so like I don't know, it can feel corporate sometimes, you
Mm.
know, and theming is their what they have the edge over in other theme parks. And I think as a Star Wars fan and as someone who was looking that sort of escape, it was perfect. I know they had the Galactic Star Cruiser. Like I could see the building from where I was, and it's being turned
Mhm.
into offices now. But I'd imagine if you wanted that sort of, cosplay play area, that would have also been fun, but just not
Yeah.
justifiable for the price.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like I just had to sit beside. I put a big TV beside my bed and have the Star Cruiser video, and I just pretend I'm on.
Be like, I'm there. I'm right there with you all.
I take six
Yeah.
grand out of my bank account and be like, I did it.
Yeah. That's you know what though, I think that's why I love doing like the cosplay stuff as well. You do get that sense of wonder and play and getting to bring that. And I suppose that's probably why I imagine a lot of people who work in the park, as you say, they're all staying in character, they're all adding to your immersion. I would say that brings them a lot of joy. I know whenever I've done the Jedi and I've had like young people come up to me, and even though I'm bald and have nowhere near as magnificent a beard as Hugh McGregor does, I still get people being like, "You're Obi-Wan Kenobi." And I don't shout it for them, just like, yeah, hello there, how are you? And I still have like in my little one of my Jedi pouches, a wee girl had written me a letter being like, hello, Mr. Jedi, from and her name. And
Aye.
I was just like, thank you so much. And then I gave her an autograph, and that's, stuff like that there. I'm just like, this is what makes it that much more than just like a movie, like enjoying a movie, being a fan of a film.
Mhm.
There's so much more to it. Star Wars is so, I think that's what we talked about. Star Wars is beyond its movies now, it's beyond its books, it's beyond its corporateness.
Yeah.
And it's just part and parcel of this glorious fandom that, yes, can be toxic at times, but there's also a lot to love about it. And I think there's always going to be that sense of wonder and awe, regardless of what age you are. As you said, having Chewbacca like come over and interact with you, and then getting to give him a squeeze. There's nothing better. See, if you get the opportunity to hug a Wookiee, do it. I've got to hug a Wookiee because, again, the costume and stuff. One of my first times out doing like the Star Wars costume stuff, and one of the guys was in a Wookiee costume. I was like, "Can I hug you?" And he just wrapped his arms around me, and I was like, "This is." I know the dude inside that suit, but
Mm.
this is still wonderful to get a squeeze from a Wookiee.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's so much wonder and awe there, which is, again, I think part and parcel of why I love Star Wars so much. That got a little deep.
It did. And can I ask you, Danny, or with your Jedi cosplay, have
Mhm.
you created a character for the said cosplay?
Again, I'm just a Jedi Knight. Like, I've never given much thought to a name or anything, because again, I kind of
Mhm.
just let people sort of call me what they will. Some people come up and be like Master Jedi or Jedi Knight, or Obi-Wan would be one I'd get. I've got a couple of gauntlets, like the clone armor gauntlets for doing sort of more of a Clone Wars Jedi General. But yeah, it's just again one of those things like in the moment, I'll just kind of like play whatever someone comes up to me and starts talking to me about. I'll just play along with that. I will play to the audience, you know. I don't have any sort of specific character in mind when I'm doing it. I'm just a Jedi. I'm there to serve, you know.
I think there's a freedom to it as well in terms of, if you cosplay as like Spider-Man, say, you sort of have to be in the Spider-Man character. People know the history. I
Yeah.
think with Star Wars, if you're a fan of it enough to be in that sort of world where you want to interact, you can easily create a character and pull from knowledge, that people know. I know a lot of
Yeah.
cosplayers that do create specific characters. There's a local girl that created her own Night Sister sort of
Mhm.
like backstory and stuff. And I would like to get people on the pod who are
Yeah,
cosplayers,
absolutely.
that get into that, to come on and talk to us, because Star Wars cosplayers are insane. Like
Yeah.
the amount of detail and stuff they put into it. And it is sort of, because Star Wars is slightly, 70s-esque clothing with a bit of spice to it. It is fun. Like, you see a jacket and you think to yourself, if I stick a few patches on that, that'll look like a rebel jacket.
Yep. That's it. Get yourself a couple of Greeblies and away you go. And I think that's again what makes Star Wars so great. Yes, you'll always have those who are like, oh, it has to be screen accurate. It has to be the exact same as what we see on the screen. But then you also have other people who are kit bashing and creating their own thing. And I think again that just adds to the width and breadth of Star Wars and just everything that comes with it. And I love that I had a Sand Trooper costume. I don't have it now, but whenever I had the Sand Trooper costume, again, you would have people who come up and just be like, "Oh, Stormtrooper," but then you'd have other people who come up and be like, "These aren't the droids you're looking for," and you get to tell them to move along, and that again is it's a wonderful moment, and you get to play so many different characters within Star Wars, and I mean, you can put as much or as little money into it as you want as well. As you say, you could go into charity shops and just lift a load of different bits of clothing that would fit and then start gluing bits to it and then paint your skin a different color, or well, don't paint it, don't do blackface, but if you want to be a Twilight and paint yourself blue, then you can do that. You can be an alien, there's so many different alien races to be. One of the things I would love to do, there's a fantastic, if we can get him on the podcast, I'll reach out and see if he'd be game for coming on the podcast. But there's a fantastic mask maker called Chris Stevens from Northern Ireland, and his mask, and he makes like gloves, like the hands as well, are incredible. Like absolute Chris Stevens creations. He makes Moncal, Zabrak, Rhodians, all sorts of different Star Wars alien masks. And I would love a Moncal mask. Like I want to do a Moncal Jedi so bad because I think it would just be class.
It's a trap.
We can't repel power of that magnitude.
But yeah, let's move on to something like we're talking about new worlds, new adventures. Recently, end of last year, start of this year, we had the Skeleton Crew, the Disney Plus series, set sort of in the Mandalorian sort of timeline post Return of the Jedi. We've watched it. We thought we'd give our quick thoughts on it because we're in between shows at the minute.
Yeah.
But let's play a wee short clip of Skeleton Crew and our beloved Neil.
All we want is to find our way home.
I'll get you home. But a crew of murderous bounty hunters is coming after us. We have to move fast.
We have no idea who he is.
You can trust me.
You're a Jedi, right?
Of course.
What just happened?
So that's a clip from the Skeleton Crew. Danny, off the bat, who's your favorite kid?
It's Neil. Our beloved Neil. It's Neil.
Not KB.
He is the bestest boy. KB, I really liked KB as well. Neil and KB, considering they're kind of the foils to the other kids, they're kind of like their wee sidekicky friends. Those two, I think, are the best. I think KB has this depth of character. Is a really well written character for all that we kind of get to know of her story, which isn't really a lot. I kind of was like, oh, like the episode where, I don't know, are we going spoiler territory? I think
Yes.
a lot of people, if people are listening to a Star Wars podcast, hopefully they've watched it.
Yeah.
I hope. But when her character starts to kind of like break down, and you start to get this idea about where her characters come from without it actually going into too much detail on it, I was just like, wow, this is a really well written young character. I think they all are. I think they've all kind of got these like their own individual shit going on.
Yeah.
But hers was a bit kind of just like, oh, I'd like to see where she goes from here. She's a character I think potentially could have more. They could all have more of a story. I'd be interested to see where she goes because she's quite smart, and I think there's somewhere in the New Republic for her. You know,
Definitely.
But Neil has stolen the hearts of anyone who has watched Skeleton Crew. And I think it's such a shame because a lot of people I've spoken to who I know enjoy Star Wars have not given Skeleton Crew a chance yet. And that breaks my heart because I'm like, you know what? You don't even have to like Star Wars to enjoy Skeleton Crew, I don't think. It comes from a place of love for what's come before. And I'm not just talking about what's come before in terms of Star Wars. What's come before in terms of Goonies, Treasure Island / Treasure Planet, anything Amblin made. It's just such a lovely show. I think, and it's got so many themes and just I can't express enough how much I love this. I was thinking about it and was like, is this my favorite, most recent Star Wars thing to come out? I'm not even talking in terms of the shows either. I'm talking the movies as well. I think Skeleton Crew is at the moment like my favorite Star Wars thing.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that because my missus like isn't really into Star Wars. She knows by proxy of the being on the house and stuff, but she sat and watched like the last couple of episodes with me, and when it was over, like a few days later, she was like, "I wish that show was still on because I want to watch more of that." And I
Yeah.
think kids, you've got Wim, Fern, KB, and Neil, and they've all, like you say, they've all got their own thing going on. Wim is sort of this kid that has a sense of adventure, but is sort of babied by his
A
father.
little bitch. No.
Fern is this like rebellious young girl that maybe is in over her head sometimes. KB is her sort of sidekicky friend, even though she is kind of more badass than Fern. And Neil is like that worrisome kid that was never going to leave Aladdin unless he had to.
What one do you consider yourself to be when you were a kid?
When I was a
What one would
kid,
you have been in the group?
probably Wim, I would say. I think, growing up, I've always wanted more from life than what was presented in front of me. And I think I'm not a bitch like him, but but I think him wanting to go off an adventure, I can totally relate to that because I would stay up and watch Bowie Adventure digital book and be like, wish I could do that. What about yourself?
I probably was a combination of women, Neil.
Mhm.
I was big into my adventures. I loved Indiana Jones and would go and do like Indiana Jones adventures and stuff. But at the same time, I was a bit kind of like certain things. I'd be like, oh, can't do that. That's not allowed. I was a bit of a conformist as a child. Yeah, so I'd probably be a bit of a mush of the two.
And also, we wouldn't be Fern or KB because girls suck.
Ew, girls' cooties. Gross.
But then also the captain of the piece, the true star of Skeleton Crew, SM-33.
I fucking love Smee. Like,
Um,
so good.
a robot character that when you sort of see, I think it was the problem. They didn't know how to advertise this show. They sort of felt like, should we get the Stranger Things audience? Should we get the audience that likes Spielbergy stuff? Should we get the Mandalorian audience? And it sort of skimmed past everybody. But once you get into it, you realize that SM-33 or Shmi is like hilarious and a true badass. One of the great droid characters. I think for as much as people are like, Disney ruined Star Wars, I think in the last 10 years of Disney doing Star Wars, I think they've never messed with a droid. I think they always have. The one droid would maybe be Lola from the Kenobi series. That would maybe
Yeah.
be the one droid that I'm like, who gives a fuck?
I don't mind Lola. I think Lola's alright. I think all the droids are great. Even I know some people didn't really like Dio in Rise of Skywalker, but I mean, I liked him. I thought he was a cute little like panicky boy. So much so that I got a tattoo on the inside of my arm of him. But like, yeah, Smee for me though. K2SO was one of my favorites and still is. But SM33 is just like, and also the fact he's voiced by Nick Frost. Like,
Yeah,
I love, absolutely love Nick Frost. So whenever I seen he was part of this cast, I was like, we're on to a winner with him alone.
yeah, pure Cockney, no shit taking robot that absolutely fits. They could have went the other direction of him being a true Smee to the Captain Hook of being like a nervousy robot, but we've had that sort of shit. We'll have C-3PO. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't need any more
But
nervous robots.
I think I love as well that they lent into the whole like they just went for the name Shmi because of Peter Pan,
Yeah.
because of that, and the leaning into the treasure island, treasure planet thing is great too, because I mean it's someone someone was just like watching Treasure Planet, which is so underrated. I still think more people need to go watch Treasure Planet again. I love Treasure, the soundtrack for it is incredible. But I think someone was watching Treasure Planet and was like, what if we do this to Star Wars? Lost Planet? What?
Can we call him Jim Lad? No, but we can call him Wim Lad.
Yeah,
Whoa.
yeah, exactly.
Well, you can't have, your Treasure Planet without your Captain Hook. And they thought, who's a guy that recently played Captain Hook? And give us Jude Law. And he plays a man that goes by many names, but mostly John Nawu. And he is a complicated character, a guy who possesses powers of the Force, but isn't quite a Jedi, isn't quite something else. It's an interesting character that they didn't want to like tie down. The more the series goes on, it's not like because people panicked. People were like, "Are we going to see an Order 66 flashback here?"
Yeah, kind of. I almost wanted it. I am a big sucker for Order 66 stuff, and I'm like, I know the whole argument is like, how many times we're going to see this now? We got our Revenge of the Sith, and then we got it in Clone Wars, we got it in Bad Batch, we got it in Mandalorian. We get to see Grogu's Order 66 moment. We got it in Jedi Survivor, but I kind of want to see his moment. I've seen on YouTube, all the kind of edits together of the Order 66 moments, and it just like breaks my heart because again, big Jedi boy. I'm just like, oh, look at all the suffering. But I was interested to see. I think I'm interested to see more of his character because I want to know where he's come from. Again, we get little samplings of it in Skeleton Crew, but again, it's another character where I'm like, I want to see more of his past and also then in turn his future, because the way the series ends, we could have more. There could be some more.
It's funny that he's sort of penciled in as a bad Captain Hook when in realistic terms he's sort of a bad Peter Pan. He is a boy that never grew up and just in the worst way possible. And I think he gives a great performance. I think he's fantastic. Growing up, Jude Law was just that handsome guy. Though he was Alfie. He's the guy on the holiday. Whereas recently he's sort of been taking a turn into more interesting roles. And I think
Dumbledore.
Gay Dumbledore. And I think this is a good turn by him. He works well with the kids as well. There's that episode, I think it's like episode 4. There's a meme came out of. He's like, God, just shoot me. Just get out of front. Go fuck. But he's a lot of fun. The kids are a lot of fun. The stuff on Adatin can become confusing at times because it isn't quite clear what Adatin is until really the end, and you're sort of left thinking, what was that for? Who set that up? Was that a wee left over something from somebody? I don't want to fully spoil it, but it's interesting going forward where that'll lead to. But the show truly felt to me in the first half episodic, which is good for a TV show. And then the last few episodes sort of accumulate into one bigger story. But it is great as a Star Wars TV show. It felt like a TV show rather than just a movie cut into 8 pieces or whatever. Would you like to see another Skeleton Crew, or would you just like to see these characters turn up somewhere else?
I think I would like to see these characters just turn up somewhere else. I think the one thing I would say, my one sort of criticism of Skeleton Crew is the ending just kind of ended. You know what I mean? Like it didn't feel, it just kind of was like, everything's A-okay, and then it just cut to credits.
Yeah.
I would like to see some resolution for these characters. As I say, I would like to see where some of these characters go. I would like to see some of the past of some of these characters. I would love to see more space pirates. I would. It doesn't even necessarily need to be another Skeleton Crew show, but if we could have a Star Wars pirate show, I'd be happy with that. Like, give us more of that, because that was one of the things. The pirate base, like the outpost that the pirates are all stationed on, like just that episode alone, and I was like, I want to walk around this. I want a Batu of this place, because all the wee references and characters and just everything that was going on, I yeah, I get, we kind of got that a bit with the Star Wars Outlaws game. You kind of get to explore a bit of that, but again, it's all very much planet based for a game, whereas that was kind of like you've just got this big orbital station covered in all these different types of ships, from like fancy ones to wrinkly ones, and yeah, I would I think I would like more exploration of all the characters that come out of Skeleton Crew, but not necessarily like Skeleton Crew season 2.
Yeah, I do want to see the characters again, but I also don't want it to feel like Rose in Rise of Skywalker, where say Wim just turns up on a base and they're like, "You stay here. You need to man the computer," and he's like, "Oh, I got you." But would I want to see a full on like, "Oh, these kids have joined the New Republic" sort of TV show? I don't know. Maybe I like to feel like Neil just went home.
Yeah.
Like maybe Wim and KB went off to do the New Republic. Fern sort of stayed at that and sort of trained under her mother, and Neil just stayed at home and was a good boy.
Had a lovely bath.
A nice bubble bath.
A nice big old bubble bath.
And then with Judd, it's sort of like, where do you go with him? Because he was sort of defeated, but like both literally and sort of like his soul was defeated. So
Yeah.
it's like, oh fuck! Like, how do you take him in any other way? Does he turn down a darker path, or does he turn down a lighter path? I would like to see him. Just thinking off the top of my dome now, I would like to see him in a pirate show where he trains a young DJ from The Last Jedi. If you can get someone that looks like Benicio, a young Benicio,
Yeah.
and trains like a young DJ to be a hacker, sort of ball bag, that I think that would sort of fit Judd's character, because he
Get
seems
that kind of master apprentice story, but make it not, they're not goody two shoes Jedi, they're master apprentice, but kind of scoundrelly.
yeah, they're morally grey in the same way as like Shanti and Baron Skull are morally grey in Ahsoka. It doesn't always have to be Jedi and Sith. It doesn't always have to be Han Solo and Greedo. It can be in the middle, and I think that's sort of an interesting place for Star Wars to go. Where you do that, whether it be in a novel, a video game, or a movie or TV show, it's hard to say. If you have Jude Law, why waste him? But then also, these shows seem to be cooling down a bit as they transition back into movies again. So where we'll see them, we don't know. But Danny, that's the past. We're talking about the future. In the lovely place called Japan. Might be able to get a Star Tours trip there, half price. There is Star Wars Celebration, which is the yearly every 2 years.
Is it every 2 years? I'm trying to think, because it was London not last year, the year before.
Yeah, I think so. Is it an Olympic event? Is it every 4 years?
I can't remember.
I think it is 2 years, because our lovely Gav from the Fright Club, he went
He attended
2023 in England. It was April 2023. And this year, Japan 2025, they've got their plate full with the future. I think this is probably one of the more important celebrations in terms of where the company goes next. Kathleen Kennedy recently stepped down and then said, actually, I'm not.
Psych, motherfuckers.
She came out, gave a great interview, telling all of the fanboys to go fuck, basically, saying, oh, I can do the job better than her. And she said, can you? She's basically come out and said, look, here's all the projects we're making. We say things are in development because they are in development. It's just, I can understand her frustration because Disney asks her to make 10 TV shows and 10 movies. And then halfway through those, they go, actually, we can only release so many of these. And she goes, well, they've been started. What are you going to do? What we're probably going to see is some Andor stuff because it's before the show comes out. So we'll probably get some good interviews. We'll see some Visions season 3 stuff. Revenge of the Sith will probably get a big push because of the anniversary stuff.
Yep, we'll probably get a lot of panels and stuff for it, yeah.
Comics, books, audiobooks, the High Republic stuff is coming to a close. We'll see where that goes forward after that. Don't know if we'll hear some stuff about Acolyte because it's sort of rumblings that maybe something might happen. But the question is, Danny, what would you like to see? What's the good of two camps? Realistically, what would you like to see? And in your wildest of dreams, what would you like to see?
Okay. Realistically, I'm excited, as I say, panel stuff, anything celebrating Revenge of the Sith, I'm going to be all over. I'm going to sup that up. I think for me, The Mandalorian and Grogu, I think we'll get a trailer for that. Yeah, I think we'll get a bit more on it. I think kind of everything you've covered is what I'm kind of excited about. I'm excited to see. I used to be excited about more of the toy stuff, but now it seems like every other week they're just dropping, being like, we're going to release this Black Series figure and this vintage collection figure. And I'm like, stop. Please stop. Just give me, I would like one big surprise drop. I think it would be cool if they announce again, back to lightsaber chat, the igniting lightsabers that they kind of have at Disney now. If we could see something like that become commercially available. And I know there's other companies that have tried doing sort of similar stuff, but it would be cool to kind of have something come official, like an official product, kind of be like, oh, we're releasing these igniting lightsabers. It would just completely change the like Jedi cosplay game by having something that could do that,
Yeah.
I think for me, one of the biggest things I love that comes out of Celebration is a lot of the like artwork and stuff. And already we've seen a lot of the fantastic Celebration Japan posters, which like depicts all the different characters in traditional like Japanese artworks. And those, if I can get copies of them posters, like I'ma get them, Yeah, I think Celebration's one of those things I would love to attend. And when I heard it was going to be Japan, I was like, fuck, I fucking would love to have gone to that. But fucking hell, the nips you'd have to have ready for it. But yeah, I would love to attend the Celebration. I was meant to go one of the first times it was in London. When was that? Was it 25? Not 2015. Earlier than that, maybe. I can't remember. Can't remember the exact year off the top of my head. But that first year, that was it Rogue One? Was it when just before Rogue One came out, they did a Rogue One panel? Because I got the poster from I had a cousin who went, and he sent me the like poster that they got given after the panel. And yeah, but I was supposed to attend that one, but then someone came up and I wasn't able to go. And then 2 years ago, I was kind of like, oh, should I go? But had not long bought a house, so it was like, probably not. But someday, perhaps we could go together.
That could be nice. Also, if Disney wants to, give us press passes.
Oh, that'd be wonderful. We'll build up a good following, and we'll keep this Star Wars podcast trainer running. And who knows, maybe someday. What about you? What are you excited about? What are you hoping for from Celebration?
This is the true fact of the podcast that we just want Swagman to notice us on Twitter and just give us Star Wars toys for free.
Even Hasbro, come on, Hasbro, hit us up, give us them big boxes,
and we'll be the whole. Thank you so much for sending me with our wee helmets on.
We'll even start doing like videos, doing like our box openings and stuff.
And we'll dress up in wee attractive outfits to get the likes up.
Very skimpy outfits.
Skimpy.
Slave lay outfits.
I'm excited for the Mandalorian and Grogu trailer. I think we'll probably get maybe a full cast announcement. Not like amazing things, but I think Jeremy Allen White is rumored. And then, like your Bill Burrs and stuff, and people sort of coming back, Christopher Lloyd. It's stuff like that. They're like, everybody's back. Lizzo's back.
Jack Black, yay!
And then I think they'll probably throw in a random character that will make people be like, fuck. Like the movie, I think, will have to explain what they're doing with the cloning situation throughout the whole 3 seasons. And you have to imagine that it's either something to do with Palpatine or something to do with Snoke. And I think that's where the movie is gonna be about. And if it's not, what's the movie about? Apart from selling Grogu toys, which
Of course.
we're all
I
about
heard it's just going to be John Wick.
with Grogu.
Somebody comes out and kicks the fuck out of Grogu, and Mando goes on a killing spree.
I think we'll get a trailer for some video games. I think we'll see the new Jedi, Fallen Order, Survivor, some sort of teaser to show us what we're getting, as it is the finale with Cal Kestis. Maybe he might tease live action sort of role.
I would I'd be excited for that, actually, yeah.
I would like some new comic books. I know they're sort of doing the Kylo Ren run at the minute, and we're getting a new issue #1 of Star Wars that's post Jedi, which will be fun. I think Wildest of Dreams, Danny, Wildest of Dreams would be either animated series or limited series or a special presentation, whatever they call them on Disney Plus, like a wee 45-minute thing of Samuel Jackson back as Mace Windu,
Okay.
surviving.
Tell me why. Tell me, because this one comes up from time to time, and I'm always just like, what would Mace Windu do?
I would like a wee showdown between him and Boba, and I think it would make the Boba character a bit more interesting because he sort of is like a character now that is about forgiveness and ruling with not an iron fist, but like trying to be fair. And that character arc doesn't really work too well at the moment because we sort of want Boba to be a badass that kills people.
Yeah.
But I think if you're going from a Jedi that's full of vengeance after somebody that is now changed, I think it's a good sort of backwards telling of that story and sort of closes that loop.
Would you just introduce Mace Windu and be like, he was living in Obi-Wan Kenobi's hut the whole time on Tatooine. He was roommates. They were roommates.
The smell of crispy skin going through the walls. I don't know how I would do it. I would just like to see both, Samuel getting this sort of last swan song as the character because he kind of goes out like a bitch in Episode 3, and then sort of having Morrison sort of have his swan song as Boba.
Yeah.
So, something a wee bit more heartfelt than just bloated man that lives in Mos Espa.
Putting back in his wee back to bath going,
I've got to remember my memories with the Sand People.
You know what? We probably will do a deeper dive into the Book of Boba Fett at some point, but fuck, I wish we'd just stayed with the Sand People. I wish we just had more Tuscan time. That was my favorite.
I think I told you when I was flying back from Orlando, I rewatched Boba Fett, and it is a good story that is ruined by the directing of Robert Rodriguez.
Yeah, it was literally just like the man was given all his toys and he played hard, but he was playing his own game and no one else was allowed to play.
Also, just to be that guy, Cad Bane, what you up to? You back? You gonna be in the Boba movie or in the Mandalorian movie? What you up?
Yeah. Okay.
And then also, because I feel like I'm the only person excited for the Rey movie.
Yes, I was actually going to say, I was going to bring up just because it had sort of left in my mind and then came back whilst you were talking. I am excited to hear if there's any more news on the Rey Skywalker films. Yeah, you heard me, nerds. Rey Skywalker. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah, because they keep saying, oh, the Sean Levy, Ryan Gosling movie is next. And they go into production, and it's sort of like, but if that does really well, they're gonna sort of be like, well, that's the way it will go, and the Rey movie will just go in the bin. And it's like, I want sequel characters back. I want to see my boys. I want to see my girls. Give me more Rey. Give me more Finn. Give me more Poe. Give me more. I can't remember her name, but Billy Lord's character.
Yeah.
Fenix? I don't know.
I can't remember.
Can't remember. But
Just,
sure.
There's Carrie Fisher's daughter.
But that's it for this week. That's all we have for this transmission from the outpost, Danny. We'll come back if you want us back. We'll come back in the near future with more ramblings from the outpost. Stuff we've gathered. Some bounties, some Snickers, and some Mars.
All the sweeties from the Outer Rim.
That's why they call it the Star celebration. Because it's all the
It's
sweets.
just a big tub of celebrations. I didn't realize the Outer Rim was a big fan of Mars confectionaries.
Whenever Greedo says McClunky, he was actually trying to say
Milky Way.
Malteser.
Oh dear. It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure.
It has, and hopefully you all enjoyed this. Danny, we have other ventures if you want to do a big plug.
Yeah, so we also do the Dissection podcast for the Fright Club NI. You can check that out over on Spotify as well. You can also check out the Fright Club NI website as well as our YouTube channel. And Adam, you also, I mean, this is part of the Banterflix's plethora of things.
Oh, but if you found us, if you've just typed in Star Wars on the old Spotify and we have came up for some reason, then you're listening and you think, what else are these boys up to? In the same feed below us or above us, you've got Banterflix movie podcast, review movies and talk about silly things. Me and Jim McLean, the silliest boy in all of Terran, just talking nonsense, often for about 2 hours, and about when was the last time we did a poo, and then we might mention if a movie was good or not. And then you also have Crime Scene to Screen with the lovely Joe and Therese, who talk about real life crimes and how they're depicted in their adaptations of the films. And then you've got the lovely Victoria Brown does We Have to Talk About Disney podcast, where they went over the renaissance of Disney. Some movies that you probably watched in your childhood and thought, I should revisit that. Why did you let the lovely Victoria Brown take your hand and do a deep dive into those movies?
Yeah, perhaps we could cross over with the We Should Talk About Disney sometime, you know, being that we are also under the Disney empire.
That's true. I wonder what Star Wars stuff Victoria's watched. Let's make Victoria watch the Ewoks animated series.
Oh my god, yes.
We were technically Disney.
Just Caravan of Courage.
Oh,
no.
Let's
not do it there.
But here, if you want us to, drop us a message. We'll do it on a Patreon. But anyway, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time, guys. And as always, may the Force be with you. Bye-bye.
Mm-hmm.